Vibhav. I am from grade 12 at Aditya Birla World Academy. I am very passionate about science and I'm a science student at Aditya Birla World Academy, and I also play chess. So my project, which is called Science Aspas, is something that I've created to teach students science through practice and not just theory, because a lot of times what happens is you learn the formulas and then you learn the theory, but you never learn that why is it like that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show practical applications, and then the students themselves can sort of learn from that. And that's what my initiative is all about. Aspas in Hindi means, around us or around you, and Science Aspas means science around you. So it's also about how science is everywhere in every little thing that you see. For example, I think one of the examples that we have is a door, and how why the door handle is as far away from the hinge as possible. So one of the other key aims of the project is that students who learn from this, they're able to see that science and apply it, because if they just know it but they cannot apply it, then there's no point of really knowing it at all. The key problem was that a lot of the times I was just learning the theory, and I was sort of, when I had an exam, what we used to do is we used to look at the questions, the past paper questions. We used to look at the answers. We used to just sort of memorize those answers, and then exams we used to get passed with flying colors, and it used to not be very difficult. But in reality, you didn't know much, right? So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make it really about learning, not about memorizing, and something that you can apply, because unless you can apply it, you don't really understand what the point of it is. I am hoping to implement these boards in as many schools as possible. We have done 35 schools right now. We are on the verge of doing 25 more schools, which will lead us to a total of 60. My initial goal was reaching a total of 100 schools. At each one of these schools, I hope that the students who experience this, the students who see this, they will be able to understand from it, they'll be able to learn from it, and they'll become more confident in what they know. I know that once I graduate, this is my final year, once I graduate, I won't be able to play as much of a role in the project. So that's why I've tied up with the Zero Gravity organization, because I know that they will be able to take it up to interested schools whenever, because they have the designs and now they know how to do it, now that we've done it so many times. And aside from that, one of the main reasons I also created a team was so that I know that next year there'll be another leader, there'll be somebody else who can take up the challenge, hopefully maybe design their own board, which would be great to see, and make sure that it continues. So through these two ways, I'm trying to make sure that the project lasts for as long as possible. It's all about application at the end of the day, and it's all about discovery. So I want science education, or like any physics, chemistry, biology education, to be something where the students can learn, but they can also use it somewhere. That's the key change that I'm looking to make through my project. Firstly, I'm working with my parents. My parents have helped me ideate concepts. They've acted as like an audience, like a testing audience to edit text and really make it as impactful as I think we can. Secondly, I've had the help of my mentor, Miss Maitri Jichkar. Miss Maitri is the founder and sort of the leader at Zero Gravity organization, and what she has helped me do is she's also helped me refine the design. So she gave me the idea actually of putting it on a board, otherwise we were a little helter-skelter, and she's also helped us reach out to a lot more schools and get the word out, reach out and deliver those boards. Other than that, because I can't do all the construction myself, I've had the help of our carpenters. We have Shakil uncle and Syed uncle, and both of them have helped construct a lot of the seesaws and also the pendulums. I've also had a sort of a team, so they've helped me reach schools, they've helped me contact schools, they've helped me raise funds. One of the key challenges was definitely the design, because we had to, like, the concepts themselves are not very hard, but we had to make sure that these are something that kids can understand, and that's something that kids won't accidentally destroy, because kids have a tendency of doing that. So what we've done to achieve that is, for example, in the seesaw, if you can see, we've tied the blocks to the seesaw so that they can't be taken away, and behind each 3D model there is a picture, so that if something ever happens to the model, there's still a picture. So that was one of the key challenges, especially in the design. Post the design, we struggled to get the word out initially, because it's not something that is very common, and it's not something that schools aren't as spontaneous in taking it up. But I think once we got the ball rolling, that wasn't too big of a problem. I've always tried to sort of perfect, I don't know what value is that, but I've always tried to sort of perfect what I can do from my end. I understand that for example, I can't make the text in Marathi because I don't know Marathi, but what I can do from my end is make it as simple, as readable, and yet effective as possible. So that was one of the values I really strived upon, because I reiterated all the things that we did so that we could make it as effective from my end. Perseverance, because it took quite a few months to get the design right, and even after that it was very uncertain whether it would actually be a success, because if schools don't like it, like if one teacher says no, this is not good, then we take a huge step back. We did face a little bit of difficulty and like some concept that we need to sort of sort out, but because we persevered, we were able to design something that in the end of the day would be good for the students. Empathy means that I have to be able to look at it from their point of view. I have to make it something that any student can relate with, regardless of language or economic background or gender or anything like that. So everything that I've done, I've made sure that it is something that most students can access, like a CD, which nearly all students have seen, like a honey, water and oil, which are all common daily ingredients. There's something that every kid has tasted, knows very well. So that is something where empathy is really shine, and I think what it's helped me do is make it more relatable, because if I chose something that was something that the students could not relate to, they would not be able to understand much from it, and it wouldn't really be asked past, it would just be science. I have learned how to rethink my own knowledge process, especially in the design part of it, because I've had to look at how a lot of the concepts, I myself had to look at a lot of the concepts I had learned in class applied to the real life. Another thing that I learned was raising funds and reaching out. That is something I'm not very confident doing. It's not something I'm very passionate about doing, like reaching out, but it's a skill that I've learned to develop, reaching out, finding names, contacting people and making it happen, because if I needed that confidence to execute it and not just make it. Also a lot of collaboration, I would say. I had to collaborate with a lot of people to make it happen, and that required patience and also delegating work. So that was a key part, and that is something that the project really thrives upon. I have gone physically and I've tested at 2 schools, and at one of the schools, which was in Mahalakshmi in Mumbai, this was my first demonstration, so I was a little uncertain of how the students were going to react. I intended to show them only 1 or 2 concepts, just so that they're comfortable with it. One of the students kept asking me that in the test tube, he asked me that is there a glass panel between the oil, water and honey, or are they just floating on top of it? He couldn't believe it. So I wasn't even showing that to him. It was not what I was explaining at all. But he simply couldn't believe it, and I felt very proud when I saw that. So I invited him to come up, and I invited him to pick the test tube up and to see it for himself, like so that he could believe it. When he did that, it was like something lit up in his eyes, and he felt like it was something magical, and that was something that made me very proud. And that's something I hope that at least few students will feel at every school that we've implemented it. It's like a crash course on everything that's ever happened. It's like you're trying to learn everything and you're trying to make sure that you can apply it. You're trying to set yourself up in a way that you are prepared for the world. You can do what you enjoy and you can do it well. I've read in several surveys that a lot of students, I think they lose around 50% of the knowledge that they learn in say graduation within like maybe 2-3 years. And that is not something that I understand why we're letting this happen, because if we want students to be able to apply, we want to prepare them, then this is not something that should be happening. I hope that there are questions and there's an emphasis on application, maybe even practical experimentation, but basically you're trying to apply that knowledge and you have to understand the nuances of what you are knowing to really make use of it, because then when you truly fundamentally understand what you are doing, then you're able to internalize it and you're able to actually use it and make sure it's relevant to you. As a student, what I am thinking, what questions I have, it's almost impossible for a teacher, even the best of teachers, to understand what the student is going through, student is understanding. And because a lot of the incentives that the students have to just score well and just sort of get the best marks and just be done with it, it's very hard to understand the student's perspective. So unless the students speak for themselves, the teachers and all the educators, even if they have the best intentions, they will never be able to make the changes that are the best for students.